Prashant. Yep.
So once again, welcome to Global Bizapps Day 2020, everyone. This session is by Eric, and we are honored to have Eric at Global Bizapps Day 2020, a Microsoft Business Applications MVP, a master of AI builder, an expert of Power Virtual Agent, a good friend, a grandfather, and the nicest human being you can meet. Eric will walk us through their journey in becoming a Power Platform practice leader at XRM Vision, a leading Microsoft partner in Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Eric to this amazing session he's going to walk you through. Thank you. Eric, please take over.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you so much. And thanks so much for you guys, D365 Champs. You've done an amazing job of assembling this this event. Lineup of speakers, very nice. And I feel quite privileged to have been selected, as the first speaker after your keynote speaker, coming right after Brian. Wow, 4 years, 4 amazing years that he just walked us through. It feels really warm. It's really comforting to see that, we were walking through that, and it's all growing and growing, and people like with his story like his, where he's saying like, I want to be normal, where something that like me becomes the normal, and it becomes almost like people won't care so much. Well, no, Brian, people will always care about you because you're amazing. So just keep going. So the story today is about my journey, and wow, so many people have so many different journeys, and this is just mine. And what I want you to kind of get out of this one is, independently of where you come from, independently of what your story is, independently of your age even, you can get something rolling in this community, in this world, in this type of what the Power Platform offers us. So that's why I gave the saying of, I'm a grandpa, but I ain't grumpy. I'm there, and as you see, happiness is being a father, a grandpa, and an architect. So if some of you guys are solutions architect, you can recognize yourself in there. So. And really, again, I feel privileged, and especially about the exposure that this type of event and this community brings, because think about this, right now for me, it's 8 p.m. It's October 30th. No, it ain't the 31st. And you guys on the other side of the world, it's 31st. Already with that, for me, it's something different. I'm not in my small town just north of Montreal. I name it, namely Blainville. Like, who knows Blainville? Like, who cares about Blainville, really? It's like small town, suburb. But wow, I'm right now presenting to people to the other side of the world who are not even on the same date as I am. They're not even on the same day. It's Halloween for you guys. It's, for me, I feel privileged. And even through the experience, and you've seen how it was, even the experience of joining in, of the whole conference, how it's structured, it's different culture, like people with different ideas, different ways of approaching this. And me, who I come, from the North American world, where usually stuff is very structured and it's a different style and organized. Here we come in and we get this awesome group of people. What, like how many you said, like 800 people and 5,000 on your webpage, LinkedIn page, I think, if I remember the numbers. But an awesome group that you've built through the years, and even this great logo of elevating people. This is it's awesome. So let's move on. I'm just so happy about all this.
Thank you for those kind words. We really appreciate that.
Cool. About myself, just so Prashant, you did a very good intro, but so I'm right now the Power Platform Practice Lead, so many words, and a Solutions Architect at XRM Vision. XRM Vision is it's actually now one of the leading partners in Canada in the CRM, Dynamic CRM, and Power Platform practice as a professional services industry. And instead of just saying the whole story of what I've done, this is what it's going to be the session about. So I've been there, I've done that. And really, if you want to connect with me, just look for Z Power Diver. I'm out there, LinkedIn, Twitter, all those areas. Just look for me, and I'll surely be happy to communicate with you and reply on your questions and just connect for the fun of it. Talk about motorcycles, hugs, whatever. And Prashant just put all the contacts info. Thanks so much. I've been awarded the MVP award on the turn of the year, and I'm also a certified trainer. So that's about me now. The question is, what I have and what I'll be talking about, is it a recipe? Or is it just a set of ingredients? Well, in fact, it's a bit of both and none of both. And what I mean here is, this is based on my experience. This is based on what I've stumbled upon. This is based on what I like and my situation today, or my situation recently. For everyone, you have to find your own ingredients. Here are some that I've used, and hopefully you can select from those, but the way you'll generate your own recipe to success, your own recipe to owning your career, and that's really what I want you to be able to do, is owning your career. Have your career in your own hands, is build your own recipe based on that and based on what you have in front of you, based on what you have available for you. Bit of background, a bit about where I come from, and the idea here is the portrait, or the different specialties or ways that I think or work come through all this experience. I'm over 50 now, so I was born in the sweet summer of '69, the year of love, and I was just slightly over 1 kilogram. I was premature baby, about 28 weeks that I got born. And this was already a lesson for me, because I learned very early, just there in my first year, that I had to fight. I had to fight for air. I had to fight to live. And that's something that just stick on. Like, nothing is a given. You have to fight. But, I went through the year. I survived. I grew up as a kid, did my all the good and the bad stuff, and eventually ended up in IT school. So yes, I do have a tech background. Contrary to Brian, I'm not a photographer or teacher. I am a programmer. That's where I come from. And got married, got kids. What did that teach me? Well, you have to take responsibilities. And that also comes to the fact that owning your career, owning where you go, is taking responsibilities on your life. Because people were depending on me. People are still depending on me, but that's what it taught me. Worked, went out on my own, because I figured, there again, I don't want to depend necessarily on somebody else. So I went out on my own. I learned to fight to get my own stuff. You see here, fighting. You have to fight for your stuff. Build and craft your own path. That was a leap of faith for me, because I went out of the security of a job and going out on my own, but it allowed me to do things differently. It allowed me to travel. I went out and worked down in the United States. seems funny, you know, for people maybe from abroad, you know, Canada, United States, it's the same. Nah, it ain't. Culture is very different. And even within the United States of America, it's very different. I worked in 2 different areas. I worked in Kansas City. Yeah, redneckish, but you know, the type of people there, and it's not said in a bad way, you know, it's the way the people live on a day-to-day and are very intimately reactive. You know, it's one way to look at things. But then I moved to Washington, D.C., like government area, and you know, more relationship based, and you know, more all the politics and stuff. 2 different sides, 2 different styles, and that taught me that don't rely on what you know and how you know things. Go and learn about how people do things. Go learn about different cultures. Why did I come back to Canada? Well, that's the other lesson I learned. Don't listen to your kids. You're the parent, okay? What I mean there is, I listened to my daughter who wanted to come back because she was missing her grandmother, but ended up that she never wanted to see her grandmother afterwards. But you know, listen to yourself, listen to your guts, follow them. At some point, when I came back, I went out into the financial world, again in IT, did some stuff. I assigned, and I got assigned to a new job. I went to work for a company. You know, I said, okay, I want to come to a company because there were options there. I had like a future that I saw there. What lesson did I learn in this one? Don't take things for granted. Don't take words for granted. Don't take assumptions that you think are good as contract. Because I had expectations about that job. There were goals set, and when the company got sold and things, I didn't get what I was expecting. That was another big lesson. Get things official. So through your path, through your journey, as you move along, as you move into new jobs, as you move into new roles, make sure everything is settled on paper. People are good with words, and most people do follow their words. But it's your career, it's your future. Yeah, you have your responsibilities. You have to fight for it. Well, make sure that anything that is agreed upon is also written down. So I got sick of it. I moved out. I changed totally in a different world. I moved into audiovisual, home automation. You know, I actually went out and I had nothing. I didn't have a job, but I went out, built my companies, did home automation, you know, blinds, fireplace starting off, music, videos and stuff. And this was very interesting, and it allowed me to change my way of thinking, change my air, like the air I was breathing and so on, and it helped me, you know, kind of reconcile with my life. But at some point, we had some difficulties locally, and the revenues were so low. And my new lesson there was, don't stick to something that is a defeat. Learn from it. If it's a lost cause, don't stick with it. Move out of it. Learn from it. Look at why it went wrong. What were you missing? What actions didn't you take? And move forward. Like, don't stick with something that is failing. That is a big way you can get hurt. I go back to IT, back to my first love. And kind of funny is the alignment of stars sometimes is nice, because the opportunity I had at that point was with a friend of mine who had a company and a customer that needed to implement a CRM, dynamic CRM. And I said, yeah, why not? He knew myself, he knew me, he knew how quickly I was to learn stuff, and he was trusting me, and he said, "Eric, come and help me." I said, "Yeah, why not?" And that's how I started and get into CRM back in IT. So that's a bit of my background, how I came about into this world of CRM and then Power Platform. So I worked my way in, I worked my way out, was doing CRM stuff here and there. I got hired by XRM Vision, and that's now actually 5 years ago. Was working as a consultant. Nice stuff. Got assigned to a project. But in that project, which was at very good stuff, I learned stuff, but I felt like I was stuck initially. I felt like I was stuck in the same technology because, especially as a consultant, being on a project with the same version of, in that case, Dynamics, I think it was 2016, on-premise, being stuck in there for almost 3 years. I was like, this can happen. This is not future-proof. I'm not owning my career. I'm not owning my future here. I feel stuck. But I looked around and I said, what can I learn from this first? Well, I actually learned a lot about relationship in, business relationship in a very political environment. Working in a large scale project where you're just, you're one project out of a big program. Learning to deal with large architectures. Learning to deal with egos. Learning to deal with departments of egos. So I first moved into focusing into what I was losing or felt like I was stuck into something positive. I looked into what am I learning here? What am I gaining? And focused on that. That's something that really needs to stick in. But at the same time, I still felt stuck a bit in terms of technology. So we came to the fact that, okay, Eric, nobody can do it but you. You're the one who can get out of this, own your stuff, and take control. So from there came some kind of what I would call my awakening. I looked out there, and first I looked at what was near me. Consider the fact I was working in Microsoft Dynamics. Yeah, it was on premise and so on, but there was this Dynamics Online and stuff, and I started looking around, and this is more or less 3 years ago. And what did Brian say? Power Platform? 4 years ago. So there was this little baby around. This Power Platform. And actually, I got my finger more into the Power no space apps era. I got there and I saw this Power Apps stuff, and wow, okay, that looks interesting. It brings new value. Let's get further. So I dug in there, and I realized there's a big community behind it. There's people sharing, and yes, people are sharing what they know. And what I realize is, hey, Eric, you know what? You're the invisible man. You don't exist in this social space. So I got that awakening also, is I was non-existent in the social space where people are actually sharing what they learn and are contributing to helping others. So that was also a big awakening, wake-up call. So some sparks, some stuff that helped me get in there and get the traction moving. Initially, I went in a pretty traditional way, and actually, I would say, spent much more time than I should have because I went with a traditional way. And what I mean by that is I turned around the old way, turned around to my boss, and I said, you know what, there's this Power App stuff, and I've been a good guy, and please send me to training. Please help me out. So yeah, I went to some 365 Saturday events. I attended some masterclass trainings with people like George Zabinski, David Yak, those superstars in this side of the world for this kind of stuff. And, you know, started learning, but that took too much time. That took too much amount of effort to sell this to my boss. And it came back to the fact, you know what, Eric, you have to own your stuff. You're responsible for your own career. Make it happen. So the last part that I did, and this was really the event that made me love and crave for this community, was at a conference, namely Extreme 365 in 2018, if I remember correctly. And in at that conference, there was this event, which was a hackathon. I had heard geeks and, you know, devs and people talk about hackathons, and yeah, okay, seemed very geeky. And yeah, I'm a dev, but at that point in time, I wasn't that geeky. But in this case, it's my boss who said, Eric, you go there, fine. You attend the sessions, fine. But you're going to go to that hackathon and make something out of it. Okay. Well, I made something out of it because the team I was on, we produced a whole set of solution, which we named Dr. Feelgood, which was about a health institution managing the patients and sending out patients notifications and stuff. Well, we scared the hell out of the other teams. They just bailed out as we went along. We were a team of about 6 people, and the people from the other teams, they just looked at us and said, wow, these guys are just making it happen. They just bailed out as we went along. So we won by default, but really what this allowed me to understand is the power of the community and the power of the group and these types of events, how they make things happen. So about my path. What did I go, or what did I use? How did I get to learn about this stuff and make this much faster, much more productive? First thing, I went out into the community forums. This place, if you're not already in there, let it be your home. Go into the Power Apps. There's like 4 different forums: Power Apps, Power BI, Power Virtual Agent, Power Automate. Go in there, get yourself acquainted with what's in there, see what people have done. There's galleries, there's questions, there's all the news are in there, and people are there to help. But most of all, for me, and here is about the ingredients, my ingredient at that point, because keep in mind, I was still stuck in that project. And I had to invest my own time on the side into learning. And my way of learning at that point, you know, when I looked at Power Apps, you know, yeah, it's cool, yeah, it's fun, but how do I apply this to my job? How do I apply this to real cases? I couldn't figure out all the scenarios. So I used this forum. I went and looked into it. People are posting problems here. They're saying, well, I have this problem here, maybe about building a Power App. And they're giving out the details of the situation they're facing and saying, I'm not able to resolve this issue or something. Wow. Real use cases, real life scenarios, actual stuff. Wow. Good source. So this was my home then. I would go here, take just the next question, look into the detail, try to replicate what they were having in terms of issue. Trying to replicate it would allow me to put myself in the shoes of someone in their real life scenario. So I would learn. I would learn about the tool. I would learn how to implement this situation. And then, depending on the time it took me, and depending on if I had the skills to get to there, in some cases, I would find a solution. And I would post that solution back to that person. But really, just the fact that I would go, attend it, and be in that forum, participate in it, you learn about real use cases. Because often, I don't know about you, but me, that's how it is. If I'm just here at home and trying to learn about something, look at videos, look at stuff, look at different, blog posts, it gives me starting blocks. But if I don't have real stuff to do, it's not going to happen. So that was a good source to experiment. Other tools I've had in my path. Going and listening to some people while I was in transit. So I talked to you about earlier on about where I live. I live in Blainville, small suburb north of Montreal. And this suburb, to get to work, I have about 3 hours of commute time every day. So an hour and a half in, an hour and a half out. 3 full hours that is just there where I don't necessarily have the capacity, the ability to work because I'm standing up, or I'm walking, or taking a bus, or taking a train. I would listen to different podcasts. That was a tool that for me was a new thing. So I would be listening to people like Gus Gonzalez on the CRM MVP podcast. I would listen to a lot of stuff that Mark Smith and Z365 guy was posting. And that would fill my ears. Instead of just listening to music, I would maximize that time to learn stuff. And then go on and also read or listen to books. So I would fill up that time as I'm walking about learning about what to do, how to position myself, because it's about learning, but it's also about crafting my career and position myself and become more influential. These guys would help. And then I would just go and experiment and share with people. So that's how I got started with my blog. So I do something, even if it's small, I just post about it. I learn about something, I just post about it. Learn about something, I just post about it, and so on, and so on, and so on. I would share back what I was doing in the form that was easy for me. And that's the key. If ever you want to share and contribute in the community, find what fits you well. Find what is natural for you. Go with something that is easy, because otherwise you won't stand the journey. So if you want to go out and share, and it's only once in a while, maybe go into a forum. If you want to make it a steady happening, make sure you use a way that is easy for you. And I have a good example. If you go on YouTube and you look at my channel, so let's go on YouTube, okay, together, and let's look at my channel. It's going to give you a good example of what I mean here. So I think we go like this. I didn't open it before. I'm just going improv here. So I have my channel. I have 167 subscribers. But if you go into my videos, well, the last one I did is about 3 months ago, 10 months ago, a year ago, and so on. Why? Because this is not necessarily my natural way of sharing. It takes me a lot of effort to get to do something of the quality that I would want it to be. So stick to something that is easy for you and is natural for you. In my case, it has been two things. One, about writing articles, like blog articles, or doing conferences, presentations like I'm doing today. And actually, the one today is very different than any of the other ones I've done. It's the first time that I'm actually sharing about myself, not about the technology. So that's the first, but you know, it's something that I like. The in-person, of course, I craved, and I also worked a lot about training people. App in the days and stuff like that was a way for me to share. So those are areas of, you know, the path that I took to gain confidence, to gain credibility, and to learn about the potential of the platform and become fluent and efficient within it. And with that came the natural way that I was skilled. I didn't wait for my employer to train me. I didn't wait for my employer to allow me to get to a conference or this or that. I did get to a few of them, but you know, it's not, I didn't wait for that. I invested in my career. I invested in my time. A bit like someone who's going for a master's degree, for example. You know, most people who do their master's degree, they don't wait for their employer to do it. They don't do it on the daytime. They do it on their own time. They do it because it's for them. And that's where it started to pay out. That's where it started to work. And some of the action that I took, because I had the skills. From there, I needed to get the, I would say, the credibility and visibility that would allow not just my employer, but people around the table, people around in my country, people around the world even, to recognize me. And with that, the goal for me was to be recognized and allow me to decide what I would do. Craft my own job, craft my own job description, craft my own career. So some of those actions, I got involved into the conferences. I got involved into this TDGI Global Hackathon. I met a few of you guys in there. That was an awesome experience, being in the organization party and building the event in Canada, having like over 60 people, different teams in here in building different apps and stuff and working through that, engaging. And that's a key point. If there's something that you want to do to have an impact and go out there and take the right action, is just don't go and do thumbs up and love. Okay, it's good to have those love icons and thumbs up, as we see in the chat, but there's nothing as that will leave as much as writing a comment. And this is an example where at some point I saw the truth behind this when I was, for every YouTube video I would go and see, for example, of Mark Spitt in this series, I would comment out what I liked about it. Even sometimes I would tell him, well, I think here you didn't use the right microphone, or, you know, I would just comment in and out. I would be engaging. Same thing on LinkedIn, same thing on Twitter and all these medias. I would engage with people, build relationship, link with people. And like I said, the date or the time that I really realized that, wow, this is really different than just doing the thumbs up. I was still, for myself, looking at myself, I was still nobody, in terms of the global community. I wasn't yet at the point of sharing so much, but I was doing that engagement and interacting with people. And on one video, Mark went out and said, and there's this guy in Canada, Z-Power Driver, instead of Z-Power Diver. That's funny, but this guy, Z-Power Diver, Eric, out in Canada, he actually, every time, he writes a comment, he engages. And that, for me, it provides me feedback and so on, and it helps me get better and so on. And that's where I said, you know what I'm doing here, it's like breadcrumbs. It's like, adding to like little drops of water, adding to a fill up a glass or something. It has an impact. It makes a difference. So if you go out there and you see Brian posting something, or you see myself posting something, you see Prashant posting something, and that could be on any kind of those medias, provide a comment. Just don't say you like it. It's good to say you like it. We like the fact that you like it, but interact with people. We crave for that. As people who produce content, we crave for that because it helps us be better. It helps us understand that we have an impact. So that's a way to build into that recognition. Through that, I built a network. I built my own network. And here I'm talking about pre-MVP, because some people say, yeah, you're an MVP, it's easy, you can connect with every people, you have those lists and this and that, and that's like a visit card. Nah, that came way after. I built my network first. So engage with people and connect with them. Connect. That's how it's going to sustain. Look into activities and trainings. I participated in a mentoring channel, 90 days mentoring channel. Some people here, I think, participated also. That was a great event where it was a safe zone. We would try out some stuff, get some ins. If ever you want to reference, we can put the link later on, but that was another way. And follow those hashtags. Brian provided some of them, like Power Addicts. There was Power Addicts CC, Bot Squad, and so on. That's a good way to get to know and interact with those hashtags also. An impact. What type of impact have I got, and why did I get to that impact? And that's how I got to become a Power Platform practice lead for a leading partner in Canada, for the leading partner in Canada. And really, when I'm talking about impact here, 2-3 years ago, I was stuck. Remember, I was stuck in a project, on-premise CRM stuff. And in my own way, and I can relate to what Brian was saying, like this Power Platform is changing people's career. Well, even for geeks or IT people like me, it's changing my career. It changed my career. I'm receiving and I'm being carried along with people from Microsoft into deals, into options, into presentations, because they recognize me, and de facto they recognize XR Envision, my employer, as being the leader in Canada for Power Platform. It's just as simple as that. That's the type of impact that I've managed to build. And that's why I'm positioned as the Power Platform practice lead. I crafted my job based on what I was working on. I didn't wait for my employer. I built it. I got involved. And yes, I did invest a lot of my time. I did invest a lot of my own time. But it's like any professional move you want to do. If you don't invest the time, it's not going to happen. You have to dedicate yourself to yourself. That's how it's going to happen. You know. So get out there, voice yourself out in the way that is natural for you, and your voice will be heard, and you get an impact out of this. So before we get to discussion, because I want this to be an open discussion afterwards, I want to end out my own takeaways for this. First and foremost, make time. Make time. Don't be the guys who stuck with a square wheel. Get into the Power Platform, take the time, make the time to learn, make the time to move ahead. That's how things will happen for you. I talked about my own journey. That's my set of ingredients. It's my recipe. But please make sure that through that effort, through that journey, that you stay focused and you stay happy. Don't compare your journey. Don't compare your path with other people. And here I took that from a session that Mary Thompson presented at the recent Power Platform online conference, online community conference. I think I'm missing a C here. Maybe Brian can confirm. But in that session, the great thing is if you're out there, you're truthful, you're honest, people will, it's a missing O. So people will be there to support you. And this example here, Mary presented a session a bit like this one. It was like a TED talk about, you know, her journey, TED talk style about her journey. And in there, at some point in the chat, there was a troll, what we call a troll, which like someone who started to be nasty. He wasn't nice. And you know what? Other folks from the community, other folks in there jumped onto the chat, and it's not Mary who took care of this person. It's the people from the community. It's a caring community. So, but be sure to stick with what she says. Make sure you're happy and don't compare yourself to other people. Be yourself. Be your own. What more? Megan Walker. She did a recent post on humans of IT. And she just says it in the title. All journeys are not the same. Again, don't compare yours. Build your own career. Think about this. You know, I talked to you about my change of work, change of countries. She had her own. You know, she went from her homeland down to USA. She went out of hospitality work into CRM and then moved back to England. You know, it's very, I would really recommend you to go and read her blog because it's very touching, because she explains also in there, very importantly, she explains the reason why she has so much time to give to the community. We all have our reasons why some of us are able to maybe be in every conference, be in every presentations. And if you're on your own and you look at this and you say, wow, how does Megan do it? How does Eric do it? How does Brian do it? Well, we all do it at the level that we're able to do it and for the reasons that are our own. And you have to find your own reasons. You have to work with your own way. And please go read our blog, our post there. So really, I want to leave a bit of time so people we can chat. If you have questions, if you have comments, I did see the chat go and I'll go back and read it. But we have a few minutes. If you want to engage, now is the time.
That's a great inspirational session, Eric, again. And it's great to see that kind of the journey that you shared. That's the power of the journey today. And after Brian, it has been like really inspirational. And that's really kind of the impact of a low code technology and the kind of experience we got. And it has given us all the chance to connect together. I really could relate to the fact that you're telling that you are on the other part of the world where it's still not yet 31st. And here, it is 30th. Prashant is in from the southern hemisphere. I'm in from India right now, and there are guys from everywhere, including US and many from India, Singapore, and UK. So that's kind of really coming up together and the great use of technology, and we can really empower globally today. Like you have inspired so many today, and when this will be shared out on the video, that will be so inspirational. So thanks for sharing that out. If there are any queries, I was monitoring the queries, Prashant, but I don't see there are any queries being pinged. If there is anybody who wants to share, or Prashant, you want to add anything here for the great message and presentation and content that Eric shared here with us today.
Eric, Kuldeep here. Just
Yes.
want to thank you for this wonderful session. Now I understand why this grandpa ain't grumpy. Really inspired. Thank you.
Awesome. Happy you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't see any questions, but Eric has just opened up the floor, so maybe we can ask the audience if they have any questions.
I do have a comment. This is Brian here.
Hi, Brian.
So many things that you were sharing really resonated with me. Let's talk about survival. I've spoken with some others about this idea that we solve problems because we have survived something. We have a survivor mentality. Some of us may have grown up poor. Some of us may have come from refugee families. And no matter what comes our way, it's a problem. And then we find a way to overcome that, right? It's that survivor mentality. Survivor mentality is problem-solving mentality. So it's very, very much something I believe in. Another thing, I don't want to take too much of the time, but another thing that resonated with me, I mean, just a ton of things here. Let me scroll up. You mentioned communicating in the chat. I was a teacher, and if I were teaching today, I would be teaching in front of a camera, and my students would be remote. And if they said nothing to me, I would have no clue what they're getting out of it, right? Please, if you are in the audience of any call, not just this one, but any call, say something, do something, be a participating member. Let's see, another thing, and then I'll leave I'll open up the floor. Trying to buy you time to think up something to say. Knowing when to quit. I think a lot of us grow up with a don't quit mentality. So true, which is not a bad thing on its own. But we need to know when it's time to move on to something more appropriate for us, right? I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, don't stick, and I said it, don't stick with a failing, it's good to try. It's good to try to solve things, but at some point, be realistic. If something doesn't work, move on. Learn from it and move on. Don't get stuck, because otherwise you might just die with it,
Exactly. Learn to learn, but learn to unlearn also at the same time. So it's just adding to that, like there was some of us face challenges really late. Like might be there's another side to what Brian just said, and Eric, you were sharing as well. Some of us don't face those challenges and have been doing really well and have been having a successful certain part and half of the life. And then you come to a phase, but you need to quickly pass that phase, take support and get inspired. And then another set of good time will come. Same with getting stuck, right? It's about learning and unlearning. I always share in my sessions and whatever places I speak, or am I just meeting a set of people? It's very important to learn in industry, but in life as well, and unlearn. Yeah. Like, okay, this is not the thing I got to be doing, right? So definitely it resonates with that kind of feeling. And let's open up. Like we got close to 10 minutes. So if there is any anyone who's wanting to come out on the session, as Brian was mentioning, to interact and getting inspired or learn from the learnings from these two great people, and along with Prashant, Kuldeep, or Vivek, or anybody, just feel free to do that here.
We do
Share
have
your
a
tricks,
question.
share your ingredients.
We do have a question.
Hey,
from
Eric. Go ahead.
Dion,
I'm gonna wait.
that sounds like Dion.
I'm gonna wait. Somebody else was first.
Yeah, it's Tricia. The question is, I think I'd love to know if you'd like to give more but can't, and how do you handle that feeling?
I'd always like to. I would really like to give more, indeed, like, because I'm a giver, indeed. Like that's something that I learned about myself in this recent journey. That first, I crave for connecting with people, and I love to give away. And I think you've seen that, Tricia, when we turn into the close down, pandemic and stuff. At that point, I just opened up free time, free available time. Instead of being in my commute time, I was offering free 1 hour consultation morning and afternoon, 2 times of the day. I was offering free time. You want to connect, you want to learn, there's something you don't know how to do it, I'm there to help. I just gave that away. And for me, again, it's a way of giving, but also, I have to admit, it's a selfish way of learning also. Because as much as when you give, and the more you give, you will get. That's a guarantee, I tell you. If you give, you will get. You will never lose by giving. That's one thing. And the other thing is when you help people, and go back to how I started, going to the forums, when you go out there to help people, you learn. You get ways to learn because you get situations and use cases that people face. And that's the toughest part. If you're alone in your box, you don't know about what's happening in other areas and in other businesses and what are the realities. So yes, that's how I can say it, Tricia. Dion, it's your turn.
Hey, Eric. How sad is that? And immediately you recognize my voice now. Okay, so I just wanted to say real quick that, and you know this because I have said it to you multiple times as well, but I did want to broadcast this as well, that I think you are a tremendous inspiration to people. You were an inspiration to me. You were one of the reasons that, allowed me to do more and to push myself. And I told you that when we met in Philadelphia, whenever that was, February sometime, I don't even remember anymore. But I just wanted to say that, like I said, to anybody who's listening, anybody who's watching, that it is indeed, I completely agree with Eric, because of all of his giving that he was doing. I actually noticed him because I was seeing all of this stuff online, and I was seeing his presence that he had online and in the community. And that actually then allowed me to, when I was presenting at an event, to actually meet up with Eric. And it was tremendous for me. And like I said, that was really the only time that we met, but we have really, our friendship has grown so much, and we have become so close, and we do video calls and we text on a weekly basis. And I just think you are just an amazing person, and you are an amazing contributor to this community. And I just want everybody to know that. So there you go. Sorry. It's like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah. So that's a revenge. That's a revenge for me attending your session and making you nervous, right? But beyond.
That's right.
Yeah. And I just go back to what's natural for you. And for me, what I'm doing is natural for me. Giving is natural for me. Caring is natural for me. Connecting with people is natural for me. That's my natural. Again, for everyone, go for your natural. And I'm really glad that, in some ways I've been able to inspire you, Dion, because if there's another great contributor out there, you're one of those. So I'm happy if I've been like one of those sparks for you. Really.
I appreciate that. And you definitely have, for sure.
I think we all agree with that. I just wanted to add a comment there because we mentioned about learning attitude and giving to the community. And I think this attitude remains with you as a community person or community-centered person. So for example, when I interview people, I don't look at what you know, but I look at what you're capable of knowing or what your willpower to learn is and whether you've got a community presence or not. That's like a must for me. I don't look at your work experience at all. So the way you think, that's how you look at others as well when you're interviewing them.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah. Wow. Thanks again, guys, for providing me this opportunity. It's like I said, it's a first for me in terms of doing this kind of non-technical session. I really hope you appreciate it. And please stay on because Fawad Khan, if I hope I pronounce your name correctly, is going to be talking about the power of Microsoft community. So, you know, really, if you look at the way you guys have settled the sessions, you know, it's really nice because about, you know, the Power Platform, what it's about with Brian as a keynote speaker, and then me about my journey as, you know, one computer, and then just sustaining this, the power of the community. So just move on with that one. It's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Eric.
much for being
Thank you,
here.
Eric, for your great sharings with us and to answer those questions as well. It's going to be inspirational, and many people are going to even utilize it later through our YouTube channel. If you have missed some part or want to revisit what Eric was sharing, a lot of that will take you time to consume it and actually apply in life. That's the one thing I can tell you with some of the limited experience that I have got as well. So go back to the YouTube channel and you can go through those learnings all over again. Thank you, Dan, for adding your bits to this. And yeah, anybody, if you have anything else, we still have like few minutes, and then we'll move on to the next learning for us.
Thank you. Vivek, could you please stop the recording?
Yep.
Thank you.